super tall oil platforms, massive TV antennas, and much more. Join me as we take a look at the top 15 tallest structures in the world. Number 15. Gerbrandy Tower, Netherlands. First on our list is the Gerbrandy Tower, a concrete tower on which a guide aerial mast is mounted, used for directional radio services and for FM and TV broadcasting. At 1,200 feet, the aerial initially stood much higher, which could possibly have given it a higher place on our list, but it was reduced by about 10 meters back in 1987. Mind you, you can see why. I mean, just look at the height of the antenna now and imagine what it would have been like before 1987. It looks like a needle injecting a vaccine into the sky. On August 2, 2007, its analog antenna was replaced by a digital one, reducing its height by another 9 meters, which makes it even more impressive in a way, because even though it's been significantly reduced over the years, it still managed to make our list of tallest structures in the world. And if you do classify this tower as a tower, then it's technically the tallest tower of its kind in Western Europe. It was named after the Prime Minister of the Netherlands during World War II, and this tower manages to narrowly beat another radio tower in the Netherlands, Zenstation Smilde, which is slightly smaller and needed rebuilding after a fire back in 2011. Number 14. Kiev TV Tower, Ukraine. Our next structure has a similar purpose to our last entry. It was built in 1973 in Kiev, Ukraine. This tower is a 1,263-foot-high structure made from lattice steel and used for radio and television broadcasting. After the Tokyo Skytree, the Kiev TV Tower is the second tallest freestanding lattice tower in the world. Costing approximately $12 million, construction of the tower began in 1968 and finished in 1973, and the materials used came in at around 2,700 metric tons. Not only that, but this tower is also completely unique in its construction, given that no rivets or mechanical fasteners are used. In other words, every single joint, pipe, and fixture is attached by welding. Microwave transmitting and receiving equipment are stored in an enclosed level at the base, and television and FM transmitters can be found on the second enclosed level at around 660 feet up. Ukraine, of course, was once part of the Soviet Union, and might be again, and the tower was originally designed for the Soviet capital of Moscow, until authorities decided that they preferred a more solid type of tower, which was also built, meaning that engineers were ordered to shorten the Kiev TV tower by 30%, so it didn't steal Moscow's limelight. Number 13. Dimona Radar Facility, Palestine. Our next structure, or couple of structures, are also towers, but these ones are a bit more impressive than simple TV and radio transmitters, because these two towers are designed to track ballistic missiles through space and provide ground-based missiles with the targeting data needed to intercept them. Despite these two 1,312-foot radar towers actually being owned and operated by the U.S. military and providing only second-hand intelligence to Israel, the towers of the Dimona Radar Facility are still the tallest towers in Israel and the tallest towers used for radar purposes in the entire world. Details of the type of radar used are sketchy at best, but then I suppose when you're trying to detect and destroy some enemy missiles, you don't want to give too much away about your technology. Some people claim Dimona Radar Facility uses an AN/TPY-2 X-band radar, which can detect missiles up to 1,500 miles away. But this radar type doesn't generally involve a tower, so that could just be an educated or uneducated guess. But either way, it's the height of the things that we're interested in, and I'm sure you'll agree that even these images are enough to give you a bad case of vertigo. Number 2. Gres-2 Power Station, Kazakhstan. Now, it's not the power station itself that's made its way onto our list, although we're sure it's a lovely tourist attraction and a great place to take the family. No, it's the chimney of this place that made it onto our tallest structures of the world. And as you can see at a glance, you wonder how this huge, skinny thing even manages to stay up. Originally commissioned back in 1987, the Gres-2 Power Station is a coal-fueled power generating station in Kazakhstan with a capacity of 1,000 megawatts, and crucially for us, the world's tallest flue gas stack, which comes in at 1,377 feet high. This measurement is also pretty impressive on its own, but when you consider that the reinforced concrete chimney is also 125 feet taller than the Inco Superstack in Ontario, Canada, then it soon becomes obvious that it's in an entirely different league, because that makes it the tallest chimney ever built, and around 3/4 of the energy produced by Gres-2 is exported to Russia, which might seem like a lot given that it's located in Kazakhstan, but then this facility is more than able to manage it, which brings us to another record held by this place. You see, the Gres 2 power station is also the start of the power line Ekibastos Kostitau and uses a transmission voltage of 1150 kilovolts, which is officially the highest transmission voltage in the world. Number 11. Willis Tower, United States. And now we're going to make up a significant jump up to 1,450 feet with Chicago's Willis Tower, formerly and famously known as the Sears Tower. This 108-story skyscraper was completed in 1974 and at the time surpassed the World Trade Center in New York to become the tallest building in the world. And what's more, it held on to that title for 25 years. Not only that, but for 41 years it was also the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere until One World Trade Center, which oddly enough stands on the site of New York's original Twin Towers. Willis Tower also had the highest occupiable floor space until it felt the second sting of New York-based defeat again in 2019 with the completion of Central Park Tower. Even so, it's still the third tallest building in the United States and the Western Hemisphere, the 23rd tallest in the world, and one of Chicago's major tourist destinations, welcoming over 1 million people to its observation deck each year, due in no small part to its appearance in many classic movies, such as Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Willis Tower is considered to be one of engineer Falzar Rahman Khan's seminal achievements, which is no mean feat considering he also designed the 100-story John Hancock Center that has been referred to as both the Einstein of structural engineering and the greatest structural engineer of the 20th century. It was called the Sears Tower due to the tower being the headquarters of the retail company Sears, until the naming rights were acquired by the Willis Group in 2009. Mind you, locals still refer to it as the Sears Tower, so the name change didn't really have a massive effect there. Number 10. Petronas Twin Towers, Malaysia. Our next entry looks like something out of a sci-fi film, especially when it's lit up at night, at which point it starts to resemble something you'd see on the launch pad at NASA or SpaceX. As you can see, the Petronas Twin Towers are twin skyscrapers in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and at 1,482 feet held the title of the tallest buildings in the world from 1998 to 2004, until they were surpassed by Taipei 101, the World Financial Center in Taiwan. Even so, the Petronas Twin Towers are still the tallest buildings in Malaysia, for now at least, although it's expected they'll be knocked off the top spot by the completion of the Merdeka PNB 118, which is expected to happen during 2022. But for now, they have pride of place at number 10 on our list, and quite rightly too, given that they can be seen from many locations across Kuala Lumpur, towering above every other building for miles around. Their structural system is based around what's known as a tube-in-tube design, which has been used extensively on buildings of this height and was invented by the legend Falzar Rahman Khan, designer of Chicago's Willis Tower or Sears Tower, depending on how you feel about it. Due to the work of Argentine-American architect Cesar Pelli, the 88-floor towers are designed in a postmodern style and constructed largely of reinforced concrete, with a steel and glass facade designed to resemble motifs found in the traditional art of Islam, which is the dominant religion in Malaysia. Number 9. Lualua VLF Transmitter, United States. Well, our next structure isn't an iconic building that you can visit during your family vacation, and it's not particularly photogenic either. But at 1,503 feet, there's no denying the fact that it's insanely tall. The Lualua VLF transmitter is a United States Navy facility near Lualua, Hawaii, transmitting orders in the very low frequency range, or VLF, to whichever of its submerged submarines the powers that be need to contact. It operates under the call sign NPM on 21.4 kHz and 23.4 kHz and uses an antenna consisting of 2 masts, each of which are 1,503 feet tall. Each of these are an example of umbrella antennas, which are fed by an overhead cable fixed to the mast at one end and to a small mast at the opposite end, near the Helix building. As the small mast is grounded, the feeder is attached to it with an insulator in the span field, and at the time they were built back in 1972, these unfeasibly tall masts had the honor of officially being the tallest towers used for military purposes in the Western Hemisphere. Not only that, but they also dominated the Western Hemisphere by being the tallest towers used for long-wave transmissions. In fact, since the collapse of Poland's Warsaw radio mast, it's thought that the 2 masts of the VLF transmitter could be the tallest structures electrically insulated against ground. Number 8. Troll A Platform, Norway. When you look at pictures of the Troll A platform taken at different times, it can either look like a lot of the other offshore gas platforms or something like the Martians from H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds might use for getting around. Not only is the Trolley platform one of the largest and most complex engineering projects in history, but as of 2014 it was the tallest structure that has ever been moved to another position relative to the surface of the Earth. This gravity-based offshore natural gas platform in the Troll gas field off the west coast of Norway became a sensation on Norwegian TV during 1996 when it was towed into the North Sea and became the largest object ever moved, even beating another oil platform, the Gullfaks C, in this very niche category. This is all about displacement, you see. Trolley had a displacement of 1.2 million tons, whereas Gullfaks C managed a whopping 1.5 million tons. Basically, if you imagine two very fat people dive bombing into a swimming pool, the amount of water that leaps out of the pool as a result, then Trolley was the slightly less fat man of the two. But who cares about displacement when you're as tall as this thing? At 1,549 feet, it more than deserves its place at number 8 on our list. Number 7. Bullwinkle Oil Platform, United States. If a country was ever going to name an oil platform after a cartoon character, then you could be sure it would be the United States. And American cartoon characters don't come more iconic than Rocky and Bullwinkle. For those of you who might not be aware of this dynamic duo, Rocky was a squirrel who for some reason wore a pilot's helmet, and Rocky was the much larger member of the partnership, being a strong, majestic, although slightly stupid moose. In 2010, Superior Energy Services took ownership of the Bullwinkle oil platform and decided to decommission it at the end of its economic life. But at the same time of its construction, it was the tallest freestanding structure in the United States at a whopping 1,736 feet tall, with 1,352 feet of that being below the waterline. Not only that, but it could also claim to be the third tallest freestanding structure ever built. In fact, at the time, only Canada's CN Tower and Russia's Ostankino Tower were taller, just to give you an idea of the scale of this beast. Originally installed in 1988, this pile-supported fixed-steel oil platform in the Gulf of Mexico had a total weight of 77,000 tons, of which the steel jacket, mainly submerged part of the platform, comprises 49,000 of them. When you look at the images of the towing of this rig, you feel like you're watching a scene from some post-apocalyptic movie. But what an incredible sight. Number 6. Abraj Al Bait, Saudi Arabia. Possibly the most majestic of all the towering structures on our list, the Abraj Al Bait is a government-owned complex of 7 skyscraper hotels in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, only meters away from the world's largest mosque and Islam's most sacred site, the Great Mosque of Mecca, which is not only an equally astounding structure to behold, but also an integral part of the everyday function of the towers themselves. Part of the King Abdulaziz Endowment Project that aims to modernize the city in catering to its pilgrims, the buildings contain 2 large prayer rooms capable of holding 10,000 people, along with a 5-star hotel designed to accommodate the millions of pilgrims who make the annual journey to Mecca. Constructed by the Saudi Bin Laden Group, the Abraj Al Bait Towers is the world's second most expensive building, costing a total of $15 billion, the 3rd tallest building in the world, and also has the world's largest clock face, which you don't need me to describe, because you can see the sheer scale of the thing on your screens right now. It stands on the original site of the Ajad Fortress, an 18th century Ottoman citadel, which used to overlook the mosque and was controversially demolished by the Saudi government in 2002, sparking international outcry and a very strong response from Turkey. Number 5. Canton Tower, China. The Canton Tower looks uncannily like somebody's grabbed it and given it a good twist, and the bizarre structure of this thing stands out even further when you consider how tall it is. Standing at 1,982 feet, Canton Tower, formerly Guangzhou TV Astronomical and Sightseeing Tower, is a multi-purpose observation tower in the Haishu district of Guangzhou. It officially became operational for the 2010 Asian Games after being topped out in 2009, and briefly managed to steal the title of tallest tower in the world from Canada's CN Tower, before soon feeling the sting of defeat itself upon completion of the Tokyo Skytree. And yes, I know I've mentioned it a few times already, and you're probably wondering why it's not on our list, but please be patient, we'll be coming to it very soon. The Canton Tower had to get used to disappointment over the years, because it was also the tallest structure in China for a few years, only for the Shanghai Tower to be topped out on the 3rd of August 2013, leaving it as only the 2nd tallest in China, and the 4th tallest freestanding structure in the world. Still, at least it can lay claim to being completely unique in its design. The form, volume, and structure of the towers is generated by two ellipses, one at foundation level and the other at a horizontal plane, which were rotated relative to another, and the tightening caused by this formed a waist, which means that the lattice structure, which at the bottom of the towers is porous and spacious, becomes denser at waist level and tight like a twisted rope. It's pretty ingenious. I'm sure you'll all agree, and that more than makes up for all those snatched away world records. Number 4. KVLY TV mast, United States. Okay, we're back in the TV mast territory again, and would you just look at the height of this thing? Standing at 2,063 feet, the KVLY TV mast is a television transmitting mast in Blanchard, North Dakota. When it was first completed back in 1963, the mast was officially the tallest structure in the world, and this mast must be unique on our list of tallest structures because it's either the only or one of the very few structures to ever regain its title from the thing that beat it in the first place. You see, in 1974, the Wasar radio mast stole its thunder and became the world's tallest structure. But years and decades passed, and in 1991, the Wasar mast collapsed, leaving the KVLY TV mast to reassume its throne for many years, not to mention being the tallest structure in the Western Hemisphere right up until 2008, when it was trumped by the number 1 on our list. Owned by Gray Television of Atlanta, Georgia, the tower broadcasts at 356 kilowatts on Channel 44 for television station KVLY TV, which is based in Fargo, North Dakota, and provides a broadcast area of roughly 9,700 square miles with a radius of about 55.6 miles. But it's the height of this thing that it's always been known locally for, so much so that when the mast was built, the call letters of the television station were changed to KTHI, with the HI referring to the height of the mast. Apparently, the top is not only reachable by elevator, as you'd hoped if you were unlucky enough to have to get up there, but also by ladder if you're insane enough not to take the elevator. Number 3. Tokyo Skytree. Okay, here it is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the structure I've been teasing you with all along, the Tokyo Skytree. Standing at a ridiculous 2,080 feet tall, this is a broadcasting and observation tower in Sumida, Tokyo. It became the tallest structure in Japan in 2010, even though it wasn't yet at its full height, and eventually became the tallest tower in the world in March 2011. As you can see, the images of the Tokyo Skytree are quite astounding, as it literally dwarfs all of the surrounding buildings and looks like a massive spike that's been pushed up from the earth beneath. This huge tower is the centerpiece of a large commercial development funded by Tobu Railway, which owns the complex, and a group of 6 terrestrial broadcasters headed by NHK, which means that it's now the primary television and radio broadcast site for the Kanto region. This is also because the older Tokyo Tower no longer gives complete digital terrestrial television coverage due to it being surrounded by high-rise buildings. Well, there's certainly no danger of that with the Tokyo Skytree. Can you even imagine any neighboring buildings competing with this thing? Number 2. Petronas Oil Platform. Believe it or not, at number 2, we have another oil platform. Most of us don't get to see oil platforms up close, only ever seeing them poking out of the sea somewhere on the horizon. But as this list has proven, these things are amazingly huge. Standing at a massive 2,100 feet tall, Petronas is located in the Gulf of Mexico, 210 kilometers southeast of New Orleans, and if you measure it from the sea floor to the tip of the flare boom, then it was officially the tallest freestanding structure in the world, until it was knocked off the spot by number 1 on our list back in 2010. The seabed is actually 1,754 feet below the platform, so this thing is standing at one hell of a height before you even consider that anything's built on it. The platform is situated to exploit the Petronius Field, discovered in 1995, named after Petronius, the Roman writer, and around 60,000 barrels of oil and 100 million cubic feet of natural gas are extracted daily by the platform. Oh, and by the way, the compliant tower design is more flexible than conventional land structures in order to cope better with the sea forces. So in other words, this thing can move. Number 1. Burj Khalifa, Dubai. Here it is, number 1, standing in at an incredible 2,722 feet is the Burj Khalifa, a skyscraper in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, which has been the tallest structure and building in the world since it topping out in 2009. The building is named in honor of the ruler of Abu Dhabi and the president of the United Arab Emirates, Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, possibly because Abu Dhabi and the UAE government lent Dubai money to pay its debts. It was designed by Adrian Smith of Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, the firm who were also responsible for the Willis Tower and One World Trade Center. The Burj Khalifa was constructed due to the government's decision to diversify from an oil-based economy and for Dubai to gain international recognition. Well, it's certainly done that, and I'm not just talking about its appearance in several Top 5s videos. Sadly, despite critical reception of the Burj Khalifa being generally positive, there were also numerous complaints concerning the treatment of migrant workers during construction, leading to frequent suicides being reported. It's a terrible legacy for such an incredible building.
Watch our binge-watching playlist if you'd like to watch all of our most popular Top 15 videos. Grab a drink, grab a snack, and get ready to binge.